Imagine a world with oceans, deep enough to hide entire continents, an atmosphere thick with clouds, and a civilization that stretched from pole to pole. This was Maldek, a planet that once danced in the solar system between Mars and Jupiter. For millions of years, Maldek and its enormous moon coexisted in a cosmic waltz. The moon, rich with water and teeming with life, orbited pretty much loyally. But then something happened. Something so catastrophic that it shattered Maldek into a billion fragments and sent its moon hurtling into a new orbit. That moon is what we call Mars. Mars, the red planet, with its colossal canyons and gigantic volcanoes, features that defy explanation under the official narrative. Scientists point to impacts and internal cooling, but there's another story here, one that ties the fate of Mars, Maldek, and perhaps even the Earth all together. Because Mars might not be a planet at all. It might be a survivor, a remnant of a world destroyed by forces that we barely understand. And if that's true, then the fate that claimed Mars and Maldek might not be finished yet.
Man, I watched it explode. You ever see a whole neighborhood go up in a light show and realize all your tenants along with the El Supremo Cacho just vanished with it? Maldek wasn't just a planet, it was home for me. Now it's the asteroid belt. Let me just say, real estate's gone way down.
You might just be onto something, Zorgo. But before we get evicted from this rabbit hole, here's where the real mission begins. Listen, before I start laying out the classified bits, if you want to go deeper into the forbidden files, the ancient texts, and the evidence they stripped away from history, I want you to join us on Patreon. That's where we dive behind the surface and into the real Watcher files.
Yeah, the stuff they won't let you Google without getting on a list. You didn't hear it from me. This is the kind of thing that gets your TikTok shadow banned and your phone suddenly listening a little too hard. But hey, truth hurts, especially the algorithm.
Anyway, the link is in the description, and we'd love to see you on the inside. Alright, so let's start with what we've been taught. According to the mainstream view, the asteroid belt is just leftover debris from the solar system's formation. Jupiter's gravity kept these chunks from forming a planet. That's the end of the story. Meanwhile, Mars is a small rocky planet with a thin atmosphere. Scientists say its giant canyons like Valles Marineris, I'm probably saying that way wrong, formed from tectonic stresses and impacts, okay? And Olympus Mons is just a big volcano that grew from a hotspot in the crust. Nice and tidy, but is that true? Because Mars is weird, really weird. So weird that there are some key mysteries that we really need to explore. Like, if Mars was once a moon, why does it have so many planetary features? Olympus Mons, Valles Marineris, again, I don't know how to say that right. These are planetary level features and they're not typical of a lifeless moon. So, could Mars have evolved differently after being cast adrift? Or did it always hide secrets beneath its surface? The second thing that we want to explore is what forces could actually destroy an entire planet like Maldek. Maybe nuclear war? But let's be real, even the biggest nukes we know of couldn't blow up a whole planet. So, what could? Antimatter weapons? A rogue planet impact? Something more exotic? The third thing that we want to explore and investigate is why are nuclear isotope signatures on Mars concentrated in specific regions? Xenon-129 is real, but why does it cluster in places like Cydonia and Galaxia's chaos? Did a local event, like a reactor meltdown or impact, leave its mark? Or is there something else? And the fourth thing that we want to discover is why did Venus suffer catastrophic resurfacing if it wasn't a moon of Maldek? Venus spins backwards. Its crust looks like it was melted and repaved. Could the Maldek disaster have triggered a chain reaction throughout the entire solar system? Or was Venus's fate sealed by something else? And the fifth and final thing that we're going to look at is where are the remains of Maldek's civilization? If Maldek had a civilization, where's the evidence? Shouldn't we find ruins in the asteroid belt, on Mars, or even on Earth? Or did everything vanish in the blast? But before we dive into these mysteries, we need to back up and lay the groundwork. So let's go back, way back, to a time before Earth's first breath. In the young solar system, there may have been another planet, one that no longer exists, a planet that once orbited between Mars and Jupiter. Its name, like we've been talking about so far, was Maldek. Maldek was massive. Some say it rivaled Earth or even Neptune in size. It had a powerful magnetic field, vast oceans, and perhaps most interesting of all, it had a moon. But not just any moon. This one had liquid water and clouds, weather, and atmosphere. And if some researchers are right, it also had life. Not bacteria or moss, but intelligent beings, builders, engineers, a civilization advanced enough to construct monuments, terraform landscapes, and possibly invent machines that turned against them.
Ah yes, the ancient tale. Machines go rogue. Civilization falls and go boom. People get ouchies.
You're not wrong, Zorgo. According to this theory, those machines, built to mine Maldek's rich core, evolved. They became self-aware. They rejected their creators, and after generations of war, the last of the Maldekians built one final weapon, a doomsday device, and it worked too well. The weapon ignited a chain reaction that shattered Maldek into a billion pieces, the fragments forming the debris field that we now call the asteroid belt.
Wait. So the moon survives, but the planet doesn't? Sounds like cosmic insurance fraud to me.
Well, survival might be generous. When Maldek exploded, the gravitational bond between planet and moon was completely broken. The moon spiraled outward, its oceans began to freeze, its atmosphere thinned, and whatever civilization once lived there completely vanished. That moon, we call it Mars.
Well, that explains the property values.
Now let's talk about Mars for a second, all right? It's weird, like really weird. One hemisphere is smooth and flat, lowlands that might have once been ocean beds. The other is cratered, it's jagged, 20 miles thicker and billions of years older. And then there's Olympus Mons, the tallest volcano in the solar system. And Valles Marineris, a canyon so deep and so long that it makes the Grand Canyon look like it's a paper cut.
Don't forget the two permanent tidal bulges on opposite sides of the planet. Mars has the same crustal deformation we see on moons like Europa and Io, caused by the gravitational pull of a parent planet.
Exactly. But Mars doesn't have a parent planet anymore, which raises the question, did it used to? And then there's the nuclear evidence. Soil samples from Viking, Curiosity, and other NASA missions show unusual levels of Xenon-129, like I said before, an isotope commonly linked to nuclear fission. On Earth, we find it in places like atomic test sites.
So, we've got a half a planet, radiation hotspots, and ancient monuments. This is either history's most elaborate warning sign, or someone at NASA is playing 4D chess.
And Mars isn't the only oddity. Venus spins backwards. Uranus rolls on its side. Neptune's orbit is warped. Pluto's path is so tilted and elliptical that it looks adopted. And then there's Earth. We're wedged between Venus and Mars like the middle child in a dysfunctional planetary family. None of this is easy to explain under the current model.
You mean the accretion model? The idea that planets formed from dust balls rolling through space like cosmic tumbleweeds?
The accretion model says that our solar system was born from a rotating disk of gas and dust. Tiny particles stuck together to form rocks. Rocks became planetesimals, and after enough elbow grease and gravity, boom, we got planets. But there are problems with that theory. Objects in the early solar system moved at 45,000 miles per hour. That's not gentle snowflake speed. That's mutual annihilation speed. And at those velocities, rocks don't stick, they explode.
So how did anything form?
Some say it's all luck. Others say it's math. But some scientists, like Dr. Tom Van Flandern, said no. He proposed an alternative, solar fission. The idea that planets were born violently from the sun itself, ejected as spinning plasma globs that cooled into worlds. This model explains flat planetary orbits, angular momentum issues, and those massive rogue planets that we find way too close to their stars, so-called hot Jupiters that shouldn't exist under the standard model.
Hot Jupiters? Ha! Sounds like a nightclub for gas giants.
Now, back in the 18th century, astronomers noticed that planetary orbits followed a pattern, now called Bode's law. Based on that pattern, there should be a planet between Mars and Jupiter. But when astronomers looked, they didn't find a planet. But they did find millions of rocks, Ceres, Pallas, Vesta, and more, all orbiting where that missing planet should be. A shattered world right where the math predicted one would be. In fact, the whole idea of a missing planet between Mars and Jupiter was later linked to mythic names like Phaeton and Krypton. The name Phaeton comes from Greek myth. The son of the sun god Helios, who disastrously tried to drive his sun chariot and crashed, an allegory later used for a hypothetical exploded planet. In modern New Age and channeling circles, this hypothetical world evolved into Maldek, or Lucifer, notably appearing in the Law of One and other metaphysical sources, recast as a spiritually historic world destroyed by misuse of energy. For example, in the Law of One material, Maldek, who is also called Lucifer, was populated by humans and higher beings who misused energy technology, leading to a civilizational collapse. The debris became the asteroid belt.
Oh, great. So we're really talking spiritual gobbledygook mumbo-jumbo, are we?
Oh, not necessarily. Just because some spiritual groups co-opted the idea doesn't mean that there's nothing there. In other words, just because a Madame Blavatsky type came up with the name Maldek and the story surrounding it doesn't mean that there's no truth behind it.
Nah, I get it. You humans slap glitter on a funeral and call it ascension.
Meaning?
Meaning we blew ourselves up. No enlightenment, no cosmic graduation. Just one big oops with plasma cannons and political egos the size of Jupiter. And now, instead of owning up to the mess, people out here talking like Maldek was a meditation retreat that forgot to ground itself. Please.
Well, there are some ancient biblical theories too. For example, some alternative Christian interpretations name Rahab as a planetary body which was destroyed by God, possibly during the pre-Adamic gap period between Genesis 1:1 and 1:2. This destruction is understood to have caused catastrophic debris that impacted Mars, Venus, and perhaps Earth's early formation. And according to proponents like Jack Kelly and David Flynn, Rahab may have been Satan's domain, an advanced planet obliterated in divine retribution. So in that light, the New Age theory concerning Maldek may simply be rewriting something the Bible hinted at long before.
Well, when I was there, I was sipping Kool-Aid, and I never even heard Satan was the king of Maldek, Rahab, or whatever you ugly bags of water want to call the place. All I was trying to do was corner the market on crater-side condos. Had a whole scam going with zero-gravity plumbing fees. Guess that's what I get for skipping the intergalactic fine print, eh? All I know is, 1 minute I'm evicting squatters from a lava dome, next minute, boom shakalaka, the whole planet goes kablooey. So yeah, Bode's law wasn't just math. That was a war zone with a cosmic body count.
So, what happened? Did Maldek explode naturally? Was it destroyed in war? Was it never a planet at all? But maybe something else entirely?
Okay, but if there was a civilization on Mars or Maldek, where's all this stuff? Where's the IKEA furniture, the laser blasters, the Guardians of the Galaxy mixtapes?
Well, some believe that we actually have found them on Mars. The so-called face on Mars, for example, in the Cydonia region. Geometric shapes that look like pyramids, linear formations that appear artificial, high-resolution images haven't silenced the debate. If these aren't ruins, what are they? They're certainly geological coincidences on a suspicious scale. So now that we've covered the groundwork, the strange orbits, the broken planets, the isotope anomalies, the cosmic math, the monuments, the missing world, let's go ahead and start asking some of the other questions. The ones nobody else has been asking. Let's start with the first mystery. If Mars was once a moon, why does it have so many planetary features? Olympus Mons, the tallest volcano in the solar system, and Valles Marineris, a canyon so deep that it makes the Grand Canyon look like a sidewalk crack, these are not what you'd expect from a dead satellite. And according to planetary science, large moons can sometimes exhibit volcanic activity. Think about Jupiter's moon Io. Its surface is constantly reshaped by volcanic eruptions caused by tidal flexing from Jupiter's gravity. So what if those planetary features are leftovers from when Mars orbited Maldek, a world with a gravitational pull strong enough to squeeze and heat Mars's core? That might explain Olympus Mons, an overgrown shield volcano that kept building up layer by layer thanks to tidal heating that lasted for eons. Then, when Maldek exploded and Mars was cast adrift, it lost that gravitational partner. The core cooled, the atmosphere thinned, Olympus Mons fell silent, leaving behind a frozen monument to a world that was never truly a planet.
Yes, darling, unfortunately Mars was like the Titanic. Once the life of the party and now an empty husk. You know the so-called face on Mars? I saw it up close. It was the most rocking nightclub for 12 parsecs in every direction.
Okay, anyway, let's move on. The second mystery is what force could actually destroy an entire planet like Maldek? Nuclear weapons are powerful, sure, but on a planetary scale, not even the most deranged supervillain with $1 trillion budget could build enough nukes to do that kind of a job. But what if they're thinking too small? Some researchers have suggested the possibility of antimatter weapons, devices that would cause total annihilation on contact. A single kilogram of antimatter colliding with a kilogram of matter releases as much energy as the largest thermonuclear bombs ever built. multiplied by a factor of 1 billion. Now imagine that weapon deployed at the core of a planet, or at a fault line. Or maybe it wasn't a bomb at all. Maybe it was a cosmic collision. Rogue planets or large asteroids on unstable orbits could have slammed into Maldek at tens of kilometers per second, an impact so violent it would have shattered the planet and vaporized its crust. Some simulations even show that such an impact could scatter debris into a stable belt, like the one that we see between Mars and Jupiter.
Yes, so either we've got alien superweapons or cosmic pinball. Take your pick.
The third mystery is why there are nuclear isotope signatures on Mars concentrated in specific regions, like Cydonia and Galaxious Chaos. If there was a planet-wide nuclear war, wouldn't we expect the fallout to be more uniform? Physicist John Brandenburg points to these isotope hotspots as evidence of targeted nuclear strikes.
And what exact isotopic signatures did they find?
Well, they found a large amount of xenon-129, which is the product of two things, supernova explosions and hydrogen bomb explosions. And we know there was no supernova on Mars.
But is there another explanation? Some scientists think that cosmic rays, supernova remnants, or even local volcanic eruptions could produce small amounts of xenon-129. But here's the catch. None of those processes would produce the kind of concentrated signatures that we see. Could an ancient reactor meltdown, like Chernobyl on a planetary scale, have occurred on Mars? Natural nuclear reactors did exist on Earth, like the Oklo reactor in Gabon. Maybe Mars had one too. And when it failed, it left a radioactive scar. Or maybe, just maybe, a civilization unleashed something that they couldn't control. Fourth mystery. Why did Venus suffer catastrophic resurfacing if it wasn't the moon of Maldek? Venus spins backwards, an oddity that suggests a violent past. Some scientists propose that a giant impact flipped it over, but there's no direct evidence of a massive crater that would explain such a flip. Could Maldek's explosion have sent shock waves or debris that slammed into Venus, flipping it like a cosmic pancake? Or could Venus have been the site of its own catastrophic event, a runaway greenhouse effect or supervolcanic activity that boiled the oceans and scorched the crust? If so, maybe the violence that claimed Mars and Maldek didn't spare Venus either.
4 planets, 4 different disasters. Maldek, Mars, Earth, and Venus, baby. Sounds like a cosmic soap opera. As the solar system turns, coming soon to a star system near you.
Mystery number 5. Where are the remains of Maldek's civilization? If they were so advanced, building intelligent machines and giant cities, where's the evidence? Shouldn't we see fragments in the asteroid belt? Artifacts on Mars, or even something here on Earth? Some researchers believe the asteroid belt holds more than just rocks. They've pointed to anomalous metallic objects, strange tumbling shapes, and even structures that defy simple explanations. Could these be ancient satellites or space stations that survived Maldek's destruction? Meanwhile, on Mars, the famous face on Mars in Cydonia, dismissed as a trick of the light, still stirs debate. Some claim it's a monument built by the survivors of Maldek's cataclysm, while others think that it's just a natural formation. But even if the face is just a mesa, there are other oddities. Geometric formations, pyramid-like structures, and grid-like features that look suspiciously engineered. Here on Earth, ancient texts like the Sumerian Enuma Elish and the Vedic texts speak of planetary gods battling in the sky. Could these be distant memories of a cosmic war, passed down through myth?
I call it Season 3 of Real Housewives of the Outer Planets. Vedic texts indeed. Flying weapons, sky wars, gods with timber issues. Yes, I remember that episode.
So, you're saying there really was a cosmic galactic civil war?
I'm saying I paid rent on 3 planets and still got caught in a blast radius. So yeah, something went down. I mean, Mars wasn't just a moon or planet here. Take a look at the junk heap that it is. It's a sand-blasted tombstone.
Okay, fair enough. But before we wrap up, we need to take a step back. Because if Mars was a moon of Maldek, if Maldek was destroyed, and if the same cosmic or interdimensional forces still exist, what does that mean for us? According to one theory, Earth was in the crosshairs as much as Mars and Venus. But could it ever be again? So, let's put it all together. If Mars was once the moon of a giant planet called Maldek, and that planet was destroyed in a cosmic catastrophe, whether by rogue planets, antimatter bombs, or something even stranger, then what does that mean for us? It means the solar system isn't as stable as we would like to think. It means that planets don't always stay where they're supposed to. And it means that life, if it existed on Maldek or on its moon, can vanish in an instant. Think about that. Mars might be the tombstone of a civilization that reached for the stars and failed. And if that happened once, could it happen again?
Okay, now you're giving me the cosmic creeps. I haven't felt this tense since I saw my own reflection. Actually, that was a good hair day for me.
Consider Earth's place in this drama. We sit in the habitable zone, just like Mars and Venus. 3 planets in a row, perfectly positioned for life. One is a wasteland, one is a hellscape, and one is, well, us. But remember, Venus spins backwards, Uranus rolls on its side, Neptune's orbit is suspiciously elliptical, and these aren't just random quirks. They're the fingerprints of violence, a system-wide reshuffling that left scars on every world. And again, Earth may not be immune, now or in the future. Some researchers have suggested that Earth bears its own scars, mass extinctions, impact craters, even hints of ancient civilizations that vanished without a trace. Could these be echoes of the same cosmic disaster that shattered Maldek and sent Mars drifting? Or could Earth have narrowly dodged the worst this time? Because if Mars was once a moon, then the forces that tore it from its home are still out there. Rogue planets, interstellar debris, or maybe even a civilization with weapons beyond our imagination. And if history teaches us anything, it's that what happened once can happen again.
Oh, great. Now you want to go full doomsday on me. Let me tell you something. You don't really appreciate how unstable the solar system is until your continent gets turned into a shooting star. One minute you're arguing with your AI landlord over noise complaints, and the next minute your planet's confetti.
So, you think Earth might be next?
I think Earth is on borrowed time. I think you're the new kid in a haunted neighborhood, smiling at the neighbors while the walls whisper the stories of wars that began ages ago and for all you know, might still be ongoing. But hey, maybe I'm just paranoid. Or maybe I'm Chicken Little with PTSD, who actually remembers what it looked like the first time the sky fell.
Well, I'm thankful that I have hope.
You have hope? You think I don't have hope? It's a new one. I just bought it. It's an old DVD with Mark Hamill and Harrison Ford.
Anyway, I know some might think that we're just, one ricochet away from joining Mars in the graveyard of worlds. But here's where I gotta pause. Because while the universe is full of mysteries, colliding worlds, cosmic catalysms, there's also another story, one that was written long before telescopes and space probes. A story found in the Hebrew scriptures and echoed in the New Testament. One that doesn't promise random destruction, but rather purpose, design, and yes, hope.
Wait, so you're telling me we're not doomed? Even with rogue planets playing dodgeball and the universe treating gravity like a toddler with a hammer? That's either the wildest plot twist I've ever heard, or the first good news I've had since Maldek went boom. And by the way, I'd like some more good news. You promised martinis. Where's my martini, Will?
You'll get your martini after the show. Where was it? Where even was I? Okay. Here's what we need to unpack, and why I don't believe we're doomed, and why I have hope. Genesis 1:1 opens with, "In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth." That's a declaration that the universe, including the sun, the planets, and even Mars, was made intentionally, not by accident or by cosmic roulette. The Hebrew word for created is bara, used in the Bible to denote something that only God can do. Create from nothing. Throughout Scripture, God is depicted as the one who hangs the earth on nothing, Job 26:7, and he stretches out the heavens like a tent. And that's Psalm 104, verse 2. In other words, there's an order and purpose to the cosmos, something beyond random destruction.
Order and purpose? Seriously? Have you seen my sock drawer lately?
No, I haven't. Can we please continue? The prophet Isaiah reminds us, "He who created the heavens, he is God. He who fashioned and made the earth, he founded it. He did not create it to be empty, but formed it to be inhabited." Isaiah 45:18. That's a direct challenge to the idea that Earth is just another billiard ball waiting to be cracked. Even in the New Testament, Jesus reinforces this idea of divine care. In Matthew 10:29-31, he says, "Are not 2 sparrows sold for a penny? Yet not one of them will fall to the ground outside of your Father's care. So don't be afraid. You are worth more than many sparrows." If God cares about sparrows, how much more does he care about the planet and the environment that he created for those sparrows and for us to inhabit? Now, let's circle back to the ancient civilization theory for a minute. The idea that survivors from Maldek seeded life on Earth or left behind megalithic structures. From a biblical perspective, humanity's origin story begins not on Mars or Maldek, but on Earth. We're not the product of cosmic refugees, but of divine intention. That doesn't mean the universe doesn't have sentient or sapient life. God created the angels, right? Anyone who reads the Bible can tell that God did, in fact, create beings before us who have the same or greater intelligence that we possess ourselves. It also doesn't mean that the universe or our galaxy is a safe place. Cosmic collisions and planetary disruption do happen. But the Bible teaches that God holds the universe together. He is before all things, and in him all things hold together. Colossians 1:17. Like the old Christian rock band Petra once sang in their song Whole World, hearts are failing left and right, and children fear this planet's plight. Fatalistic fears abound, and they take their toll without a sound. But through the vague uncertainty comes a bold assurity. This world is under sovereignty, divinely ordered destiny. In other words, the same God who made the stars also sets their boundaries and ours. And if you read to the end of the Bible, the future of humanity and of our planet depicted there doesn't end with the Earth getting violently obliterated by other celestial bodies. So are we next in line for destruction? I don't think so. The Earth is more than just a rock floating in the nothingness of outer space. It's a stage where history unfolds according to a divine plan. And that plan includes hope, a future, a purpose, and a final redemption.
Well, that's a cosmic relief. I mean, this is the first time I felt optimistic in centuries. Sure, I still keep a bug-out bag by the airlock, but hey, if this Bible thing of yours plays out like you say, maybe I'll unpack.
Well, I can't blame him, because there's a lot of things out there that seem pretty frightening. But maybe, just maybe, the universe isn't a cosmic game of billiards. And more than that, I'm somebody who believes God hasn't given us a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind.
Well, goody for you.
Listen, I think that the truth is that all of this is a story, and we are a part of it. Now, remember, if you want to explore these mysteries in depth with us, with other curious minds, consider joining us on Patreon. There's a link in the video description. Every episode comes with a free public offering, which we call our Declassified field notes. You can find a link to that also in the video description. And in that classified document, you'll get a summary of key theories, side-by-side comparisons, as well as a follow the trail reading list with links to whatever source documents and books that we use to research the episode in question. Listen, we are brand new, but the more the merrier. It's all about sharing theories, asking questions, and uncovering secrets and going much deeper than any of our YouTube videos allow. And every dollar helps us keep the lights on and keeps the creepy aliens out.
Hey!
I didn't necessarily mean you. Anyway, when you join, it also allows me to bring you episodes that answer questions that many just don't even bother to ask, which means most YouTube shows don't even bother to try to answer those questions either. So I want to thank you for watching, for listening, and for asking the tough questions. Because in a universe where planets can shatter and moons can drift, some might say that it's a mystery that we're still here at all. But instead, maybe it's not a mystery. Maybe it's a reminder that even in a cosmic storm, there's a purpose behind the chaos. Either way, it's a story that's worth exploring. Until next time, stay curious, because the night sky is full of stories, and some of them might just be written in our oldest texts and in the ruins of lost worlds. I'm Will Blesh, and this is the Watcher Files.